after you, my dear. You're just in time. You know, I don't think I've ever seen you looking so lovely.
Thank you. That was very kind of you.
My pleasure. I was looking for someone to dance with.
You're an American.
That's right.
My uncle was born in America.
Oh, really?
But he was one of the lucky ones. He managed to escape in a balloon during the Jimmy Carter presidency.
I bet he's got a lot of great stories.
Yes. He would tell me about all the large houses and expensive cars, and how the young people waste their time watching television and listening to rock and roll music.
News on the march. The Roaring Twenties choke on the exhaust of Hollywood scandal. Chief offender, Fatty Arbuckle, a comedian turned murder suspect after a starlet dies at his raunchy Tinseltown party. Under fire as Sin City, major studios formed the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors Association, hiring Postmaster General Will Hayes to restore decency to the movies by implementing a strict production code.
Now, the industry's never been competitive. It's always been collusive. Really, from the very beginning, the studios were vertically integrated monopolies. They controlled development, they controlled production, they controlled post-production, they controlled distribution, and they controlled exhibition. And there were two big strikes. There was the 1941 Disney strike, in which labor won sort of a fairly clear victory. And then you had the 1945 Warner Brothers strike, in which you had the battle between the two big industry unions, and you had the studio hiring scabs, and you had high-powered water hoses used on picketers. And one way of dealing with these increasingly powerful unions was to make participation, membership in a union, dangerous.
Calling the House Un-American Activities Committee to order, Chairman J. Parnell Thomas of New Jersey opens an inquiry into possible communist penetration of the Hollywood film industry.
So during the blacklist, the two questions that were asked routinely at the hearings were,
are you a member of the Communist Party? And have you ever held any position in the Screenwriters Guild?
First of all, asking the two questions together suggests that there's a connection between the two. And asking the second question makes saying yes a very dangerous act. So to confess seems the wrong word, but to confess membership in a union would be tantamount to accepting a life sentence, a blacklist. You know, people generally associate this with McCarthyism. Well, it had nothing to do with McCarthy at all. I mean, once the MPA got on board, the MPA did it all themselves. And the blacklist was implemented by the very body that controlled the industry.
There is no subversive propaganda on the American screen, and there isn't going to be. Communists hate our films because they show a way of life that they hate. A life where free men work and play in the ways of freedom.
The Motion Picture Association's always been about public relations, making sure everybody in America is happy with the movie industry. The movie industry appears socially responsible. The movie industry appears to care about everyday Americans.
Well, the Motion Picture Association is composed of the 7 largest producers of film and television in the world, the old great studio names, and I've been the head for 34 years. My greatest achievement as head of the MPA is I survived.
He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
One thing that I have learned in my long, and some would say checkered career, is that in Hollywood and Washington, there are no secrets.
You know, I think we need to step back for a second and wonder sort of what all this means, that 2 or 3 companies completely control the information in our country. And when we think about censorship, what's being censored are scenes in movies, which mean nothing to these people. And of course, what's not being regulated is the ways in which these corporations control the flow of information in the recording industry, in the film industry, TV industry, radio, press, everything.
And by the time it's completed, and we have three, maybe two companies that essentially own access to our culture, it'll be impossible to break up because the political power of those companies will be so massive, and they will be willing to spend extraordinary amounts to protect their cartel position that no government would be strong enough to stand up to.
I want to pay particular gratitude to the members of Congress who are here today. It pleases me greatly that you've come, and it pleases me even more that you come from both sides of the aisle. I was struck with Ted Stevens. I've never heard that before, but I'd like to claim that, Ted, when you said he has friends on both sides of the aisle, but he doesn't know about an aisle. I like that.
You saw people like Dan Rather, a critical report of Bush's service.
CBS News, 60 Minutes, and this reporter drew fire today over our reports that raised questions about President Bush's military service record.
Subsequently, the White House put so much pressure on his employer that Dan Rather now claims in a lawsuit that his employers caved to White House pressure and drove him out of his job.
The central thing here is you can't have freedom of the press if you're going to have large, big corporations and big government intruding and intimidating in newsrooms. The chilling effect on investigative reporting is going to be something we don't want to see.
It just seems like the young people of America take their freedom for granted.
Now, wait a minute. I don't think you're being fair. You know, my history class once spent an entire week in Philadelphia.
Maybe so. You can talk about freedom all you want, but still, you don't know what it's like to have to fight for it.